Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is SYAFITRI. I'm one of the student English Education Study Program, Faculty Language and Literature, Makassar State University. Now I will present my draft thesis with the title The Use of Visual Media Illustration Images to Improve Paragraph Writing Skill for Junior High School Students. And the Honorable my supervisor, Prof. Syarikuddindola MPD, and Dr. Geminastiti Sakir, SPD MPD, and the Honorable my examiner, Sir Muhammad Tahir, SPD MPD area, and Sir Miftah Fauzan, SPD MPD. Okay, first is chapter 4, Findings and Discussion. The result of the research were obtained through a writing test to obtain data and determine student skills. The researcher gave pre-test and post-test at different times. The researcher gave the pre-test on September 19, 2022. The total score for the experiment was 1,087 then the post-test was given on October 12, 2022, with a total score of 2,139. The result of this research is the presentation of student learning before and after the treatment using visual media illustration. It is explained by descriptive statistical tests and inferential statistical tests using SPS, which aims to answer the problem formulation in Chapter 1. The next is about the table. Frequency and percentage of student pre-test and post-test. Student test score experimental group were described using descriptive statistical test through frequency distribution data representing pre-test post-test scores. And the experimental group is class that is given visual media illustration. The table 4.1 shows that no students got different. Not There is no students got the very good and good classification at the pretest. And there were 3 students who got the fair classification with percentage of 10%, and 27 other students got the poor classification with a 90% percentage. Meanwhile, based on the descriptive statistical analysis of the frequency distribution table and process scores, it was found that one student was classified as good with percentage of 3%. 11 students were classified as fair with a percentage of 37 and 18 students were classified as poor with a percentage of 60%. So this means that the percentage score of the post-test is higher than pre-test. And the second table, on the table 4.2, the mean score and standard deviation. This study used a pre-experimental method with only one class being sampled. Therefore, the data calculation used a per sample test. On the table 4.2 show that the average pretest score of students is 62, which is classified as poor. So it can be concluded that the pretest score of students before using visual media illustration images is low, while the post-test average score of student is 71, which is classified as good and fair, indicates that the post-test average value is higher than the pretest average value. And since the pretest standard deviation is 8 and post-test standard deviation is 7, and it can be stated that the pretest standard deviation is likely lower than the post-test standard deviations, implying that the post-test value is higher than the pretest value. Next is hypothesis testing. On the table 4.3, there are pair sample tests. The table 4.3 above, by using SPS application analysis within pair sample test, if the level of significance is greater than value means there is no significant difference. Whereas if the levels of significance A is lower than value than P value means there is significance difference. So based on the table 4.3, the significance value of this research is lower. No, it is lower than the significance level, and the result of pretest and post-test obtained T count 4.60 4.676, and the deviation is 29, and therefore it can be decided that the use of visual media illustration images can improve students' paragraph writing skill at UPT SMP Negeri 1 Binamu. And the hypothesis in the study is that the use of visual media illustration images can improve student paragraph writing skill in class 8-1 students, or hypothesis alternative. And hypothesis null is the use of visual media illustration images cannot improve students' paragraph writing skill in class 8-1 students. The result of hypothesis testing are as follows. The use of visual media illustration images can improve the paragraph writing skill of class 8-1 student is accepted. Okay. And next is the discussion. Based on the result of the study, it was found that students who were taught using visual media illustration were able to improve their paragraph writing skill. This means that students are more interested in writing descriptive text using visual illustration media. In addition, um, teaching descriptive text with picture sequence is better with media illustration is better than without visual media illustration. The skill of students who are though using sequence using illustration media are successful. Can be seen from the average score of students who are though using visual media illustration is 71. And in other words, visual media illustration are effective on student writing score and arouse their motivations to get ideas, feelings, and then express them in writing. And by using visual media illustration images, teacher can create new technique in teaching and learning process that are more interesting in the classroom. Because visual media illustration images can describe object more pleasantly to describe. And in addition, visual media illustration helps students remember about the people, place, and uh, event in the picture. So students find it easier to write. And the treatment trains them to develop their ideas and then makes them construct paragraph well. And they can be more fluent in writing descriptive text because they only see illustrated images of visual media and then write them into paragraph. Finally, students can improve their skill in writing paragraph. And next is chapter 5, conclusion and suggestion. First is the conclusion. One aspect of language skill is writing. Writing is one aspect of language skill that has an important role in everyday life. By using visual media illustration images, teachers can create new technique in the teaching and learning process that are more interesting in the classroom because visual media illustration images can describe object more pleasantly to describe. This can be proven from the result of the average post-test score. And the average score of the student who were the right pattern of using visual illustration media, called the experimental group, was 71. Previously, the pretest score was 62. Therefore, there was a significant difference between the pretest and the post-test. So, based on the findings and discussion in the previous chapter, the researcher concludes that the use of visual media illustration images can improve students' writing skill in class 8 students of PT SMP Negeri 1 Binaum. Okay, next is suggestion. Based on the conclusion, the researcher provides several suggestions as follows. The first is for the teacher. Illustration of visual media images can be used by teacher in teaching descriptive text. This is usable because the teacher's role in the teaching and learning process can generate student motivation in writing descriptive text, and the media can affect the result of student skill. The second for the students are more interested in learning process so that it can make students easier to understand the material. They will get a good result and a big student skill in writing descriptive text. And for the next researcher, the researcher focused on the use of visual media image illustration to improve student writing skill, and the researcher suggests the next researcher to use visual media illustration image in other skills. Okay, that's all for me. More and less, please forgive me. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.